Hello, good evening. So, we are Toastmasters and that. Let me begin with a story. A woman came to me about her daughter. We have a bad relationship with my daughter, she said. I asked, how old is your daughter? 3.5 years. All right. Tell me about it. She said, constant conflict. She wants to watch TV all the time, and I'm limiting this horrible activity. Well, usual parenting issue, right? But when I looked deeper in this situation, I saw something else. The woman, the mother, is a busy executive. Meetings back to back, always available to her team, to her calendar, but she had a problem being present with her daughter. She was aware about this, and she prepared the plan. So she asked her parents to pick up her daughter after daycare, so they would spend time with her. Later, the mother became aware that nobody would spend time with the daughter because she was watching TV all the time in that house. So she became very upset and frustrated with the situation. But she couldn't do anything with her parents, they wouldn't listen. So she became very restrictive, even more restrictive in her house. And all her frustration landed on her daughter. So what we see, 3 generations, one unsolved wound, one child solving this all. Now, I know many of you are executives here. What all this can do with you, right? Well, everything. What I see more and more often in my practice is that when we treat people in the workplace as units of output, when we have presence as performance, when we have emotions as liabilities, when we take worth as measured by achievements, what do we have at home? So the leader crosses the door and physically present, but relationally absent. So what does child learn? Not what parent says, but what parent is in that moment. That I'm loved when I perform, that I'm worth when I achieve, and I shouldn't need too much. When they grow up, where they go? They go to the workplace. What they do? They recreate the system they were shaped by, and they do it, but as employees first, and then as leaders, because the system is self-sealing. It feels like culture, and it's called as ambition. But I'm here not to talk about life-work balance, not just because this phrase is categorically absurd, okay? But I'm here to talk about something more precise. Parental emotional presence is emotional availability is not time, not opportunity, not money, but this is a single greatest predictor of the child's capacity for connection, resilience, and self-worth. So, and you cannot outsource it, you cannot optimize it, and you cannot schedule it for the weekend. And it doesn't stay in the child, it grows up. And then it works in your offices, in your meetings, and it runs your teams. But let's go back to my client. In the end of the session, I asked her, what was the takeaway of the session? After a minute of silence, she said, the only things that matter is my relationship with my daughter. I cannot control whatever happens in the house of my parents, but I can be fully present with my daughter. And I'm going to ask you a question. What are you escaping from when you're watching TV? And what do you need? 3.5 years child, and mother is going to ask these big questions. Mm-hmm. It's not even parenting technique or something, it's just a soul shift. Leaders, you're the intervention point, not because you caused it, but because of the surface area. The quality of your presence is the ripples outward into the teams, into the homes, into the children that are forming their first beliefs about what is worth. And the question is not about whether you will have impact. The question is what kind. Thank you. So now we have 5 to 7 minutes of Q&A. Different questions? Bill?
You described the phrase work-life balance as absurd. Can you tell me more about your views on that?
Yes. How can you balance life and work if work is part of your life? So categorically, you cannot balance something that one is less than another. I mean, life, work, integration, how you integrate work in your life, that makes no sense to me.
When you said she was going to ask her daughter those questions, did she ask those questions? I mean, that seems like a lot for a little kid.
It's not about the answer to the questions. It's about being present and being curious about what child thinks. It's not about if the child cognitively understand what it means. Mm-hmm. It's about that mother curious and interested in what child needs and what happens when she's watching TV. I couldn't put everything in the speech, but she was watching TV without even realizing what happens there. When mother asked what happened in those cartoons, she wouldn't answer. She wouldn't remember.
What kind of work do you do? What kind of work do you do?
I'm a life coach.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay.
So you were saying that there was a lot of TV in the house. Mm-hmm. I'm not sure if I understood correctly. Are you saying that she would leave the house to go to work, and her parents would watch over the daughter?
Yeah.
And the parents would leave the TV on?
So in their house, they would take her from daycare, and from 3 to 5, she would watch TV in their house. So they wouldn't speak to her, play with her, no interaction, just. Yes, please.
Yeah, no, I think this is a really interesting topic because I was talking with my mom the other day about like growing up in the Bay Area. She wanted to raise me specifically, but there were other families that had like a nanny because the parents were working full time in these, very impressive jobs like lawyers, doctors, tech executives, and this kind of thing. So I'm just like super curious, like what does it look like? Take 2 children. What is one that's been given the proper attention and time and energy from one parent? What behaviors do they exhibit versus a child that maybe doesn't have those things as much, right? Like they only see their parent maybe on the weekends or like in a more sparse kind of way that they were describing. Like, what do those 2 kids look like? Like, what are their behaviors? How do they look differently? You know what I mean?
In what settings?
Like basically, like as you were describing, sometimes the parent doesn't give the adequate attention or the presence. Like their energy to the kid is not as nicely, translated into the kid. Like what does that kid who has been given that, what do they look like? What are their behaviors? Or is the kid that is not?
Connection, resilience, self-worth.
Okay, yeah.
So in the conflict, how they resolve the conflict. how they are confident in those situations, how they express themselves, how they connect with other people, all those things.
I'm just curious, like for a lot of families, the reality is that their kids are watching, iPads, TVs. Do you think that, if her parents aren't willing to turn it off when they're there, do you think that the type of content they're watching has any difference on kind of outcomes or?
Of course, the content matters. There are different ways, I guess. Maybe she can keep your device that preloaded with the content. At least she knows that she watches what she watches, or another way to work with parents. But for now, there's no connection to deal with that. Work should be done.
So when you're coaching and speaking to parents that are going through this, and they're obviously trying their best to provide for their family, and they think that their work means to provide resources for their family, how do you talk to the parents about reprogramming their mindset where when they walk through that threshold in their home, get present with their children? What does that really mean? With just immediately forget about everything at work, be fully in the moment with your child, get on the ground, blocks, different things, color, get them, connect with them, get them down to bed. And then when they're down to bed, okay, now I can go back to what was on my mind from work. So,
well,
yeah.
There is that parents want to build with work, because we work on transitions from work to home, that transition period, what we can do between. In a car, you can transition to switch the mind, right? At home, you can agree with your spouse when you work. She is with children, and exchange the roles if you need to work, right? There are other things. What else? How to be exactly how to switch. Your question was how to switch to that mindset, or forgetting about work. Mindfulness exercises might work. Reading, to go out. But if you have tasks to complete in the evening, then you are thinking how to do it. There are techniques, I guess, or there are different people, I guess, because for me, I can switch off for a time. I know that before 9, I can be completely off, and then switch on. Because I know that nobody will call me before 9, so why would I?
So it can be tricky, but it's all about what are your priorities? And just knowing that is an investment in your time to spend it with your family versus being preoccupied with something at work.
So how, it's red.
You got one more question there. Yeah.
Well, I was just going to ask, sounds like you're advocating, certainly if you can spend more time with family, do it. But if for whatever amount of time that you are going to spend with family, make sure you're just fully engaged. And it seems like, if I understand correctly, you're saying that it's worse to spend, I guess, more time, and that amount of time looks like you're doing something else, versus spending less time, but you're fully engaged in that smaller amount of time.
I believe so.
Okay.
Yeah. Because they see that they are not worth your attention.
Yeah, they're not interested.
And they feel it. They cannot conceptualize it. They cannot put it in words, but they feel.
Yeah, good reminder.
Thank you.
Thank you.